Hope everybody had good holidays. And since I am now interim chair and I do have a team behind me, I thought it would be good to move up the second vice chair and give him the opportunity to facilitate this meeting. So at this point, I would like to turn the meeting over to Chad. Go ahead, Chad.
Thank you, Barbara. First off, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Bronx Community Board Executive Meeting. My name is Chad Royer. For today, I'm chairing the executive meeting. This is Bronx Community Board 7's executive meeting. The agenda will be as follows.
Chad, did you get the modified agenda from Carla?
I'm actually trying to pull it up.
Okay, good.
It's at
Just
the
want to
top of
make
my
sure,
email.
because there was a slight change to it, that's all.
Yeah, got it. So the following agenda is as follows. We have review of minutes, district manager's report, chairperson's update, new business with medical cannabis dispensary operations presentation from the Health and Human Services Committee. We also have committee reports, follow-up from the previous meeting, which includes doing events and internal administration logistics. On September 2nd, 2021, Governor Kathy Hochul signed into law Chapter 417 of the laws of 2021, which authorizes the community board to run its meetings remotely, and minutes will be taken for record keeping. The minutes will appear on our website within days and can be requested from the CB7 staff at any time. If you're calling into the meeting on the conference, controls while joining from landline or cell by calling dial-up number. To hear all available commands, press ** on your phone, *6 to mute or unmute, *9 to virtually raise your hand. How we will run this meeting is as follows. Our code of conduct for meetings, penalties and actions. Bronx Community Board 7 has the right to remove and or ask a member of the public to leave a meeting or block participation of anyone who engages in inappropriate conduct, including but not limited to obscene or offensive images or language, personal attacks, threats, or any other behavior that reasonably impedes the orderly administration of the meeting. Repeated offenses will be reviewed by the board's executive committee or any other assigned committee for a ban. The amount of time to be objectively determined by the above committees of the participants in the event of repeated disruptive behavior. If in person, outbursts or attacks continue, this will be considered disturbing the peace and authorities shall be called. Everyone besides the speaker, presenter will stay muted throughout the meeting. After each presentation is over, I'll inquire if committee members have questions. Committee members will signify that they have a question by pressing the raise hand button on your screen or request to speak through the chat or when the chair opens the floor. Only those recognized by the chair of the committee will be allowed to speak during the allotted time. We will stay on topic with the agenda items. Any other items will be acknowledged by the chair under new business or addressed at the next meeting, granted there's enough time and the committee agrees on the topic. Following the questions, discussion, and public comment portion, the committee will begin their discussions after each presentation or agenda item and will conclude with the decision to vote on a recommendation. When the agenda is finished, the meeting will be adjourned. If there are any questions related to the meeting software or our process, please use the chat function or raise hand function now or contact the district manager, Aisha Bravo. Now, getting back to the agenda, I would like to go over the attendance. I'm going to do it verbally if that's fine. Oh, you got it? So
Got it.
Barbara Stronzer.
Barbara Stronzer is here.
Chad Royer. I'm sorry, wrong list. Eric Asensio,
Eric Asensio present.
Betty Arce,
Betty Arce present.
Yahira Arias,
Hira Arias present.
Michelle Avila,
Michelle Avila present.
Andrew Leosa,
Andrew Leosa present.
Emmanuel is on leave. Edgar Ramos, Edgar, I think, is he still on?
He may be muted.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Where
Lourdes
is he?
Acosta, I'm sorry,
Acosta
Oh, no,
present.
he's not, Chad. I'm sorry, he's not.
he's not on.
Maybe, yeah, he
may
has some
be back.
connections. Yeah.
Okay. Lourdes Acosta,
Present. Lourdes Acosta present.
Chad Royer, present. Victor Saldana. Victor, is he on? Okay. I don't see Victor. So we have a quorum. So next on the agenda is the approval or the review of the previous minutes.
FYI, I'm renaming the executive board and I'm putting BXCB7 right next to everybody's name, so it'd be easier to identify.
Can you scroll up to the top for a second? Yeah, my name is misspelled. It's supposed to be Royer. Anyone else have comments?
I move we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Can we get a vote?
Aye.
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 Minutes are approved with the one correction. I'm sorry. I just caught this. I think Yahira's name is also misspelled.
It's
It's
okay,
was-
Chad. I'm used to it.
Oh, hey, I just wanted to catch it.
It's okay. I'm used to it.
Got you. Okay. So let's move to the next one. We have, next item would be the district manager's updates. So Aisha, do you have an update for us?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Just a few things. I did send kind of the updates that I'll be sharing with the full board via email. This is kind of more of a housekeeping item. Obviously, in 2018, the New York City Council passed a package of legislation strengthening New York City's anti-sexual harassment policies, just to combat sexual harassment in the workplace. And as a result of legislation, community board members are also obligated to take this training. Now, in the past, it was done in the office where board members would schedule a time and a certification would be given. So now you should have received this week, and if you haven't, you need to tell me, and I need the chairs to respectfully share this with their members as well, to reach out to the office if they haven't received an email from the department, DCAS. No, not DCAS. They should have received an email from DCAS with login information to be able to take the sexual harassment training from their homes. Now, in the event that you don't have the capability or are having a hard time doing it from the house, you can email Tom Lucania from the Bronx Borough President's Office, and they can make arrangements where you can actually take this training at the Borough President's Office. But again, if you have any of those issues, you can contact me. Also, if you are a New York City employee and you have already taken this at your place of employment, you simply have to provide that certification to the Bronx Borough President's Office. In this case would be Tom Lucania. Also, failure to take this training before June 30th, as well as the EEO policy certification, you will be removed from the community board for cause. This is very important.
Aisha,
Yeah,
I did receive it. So did every board, this was sent to every board member, correct?
correct, directly from DCAS, yeah.
Okay, I'll check with my committee members as well.
Yeah, it would definitely help if every committee chair kind of touches base about this at their respective committee. I'll also mention it at the general board meeting. But yeah, a follow-up on your behalf would be great, because sometimes, emails get overlooked. So a little help there would be great. So thank you for that, Betty. And also, Barbara, if you want to send as the chair an email out with a reminder that this has to be done, that would be helpful as well.
Okay, I shall.
Okay. So brings me to meeting recordings. Just want to be very clear that these meetings will be recorded and posted online. So we still have to take minutes. We need 2 forms, and they will be posted on YouTube. The minutes will reflect the link of where these minutes are located and when the PDF is uploaded to the website, so folks can click on it directly. I remind folks to be very careful on language you use. As you know, everything shared on the internet is permanent. So be very careful with appropriate language, refrain from using any derogatory or offensive references. And also remind your presenters that they do not have an option if they're presenting at a public meeting from being recorded. So you cannot edit this recording, you cannot stop it unless it's an executive session meeting, but you cannot do any of that. I recall that this month there was an incident where I believe the FTNY did a presentation and did not want to be recorded. And we had to be very specific to them that unfortunately, this is how all committee meetings and all public meetings, according to the open meeting laws, have to work. So that's something that I definitely wanted to share. And if you can, again, share that with your committee members, just in case I miss someone misunderstands anything, if this can be shared. Minutes, like I said, minutes still have to be taken and submitted to the office immediately. Agendas cannot be changed once published within 24 hours. However, at your meeting, you can choose to amend the agenda with the committee's approval. So I think it's important that that's noted. And something that I said in the email was encouraging board members to actively participate at committees. I know some frustrations have been expressed that you have people that just attend meetings, and understanding that being a board member is a privilege. There are many people who want to be part of their boards, and you are privileged to be here. So the least that you can do is engage and share what's going on in your neighborhood so the issues can be properly addressed. So just attending meetings is not enough. And if, again, and Barbara, I'm sure you're going to say this, but like if people are displeased or have issues with their time commitment, they can contact the chair directly. And if accommodations can be made, I'm sure that the chair would be happy to do that if possible, right?
Right.
You don't want anyone to be, we get it, life happens. Now, shelter site selections, I know that there are plenty of concerns on how these sites are located, where these sites are located. Obviously, the more community boards that have more than their fair share in comparison to others, right? And so in light of that conversation, we recently at the Housing Committee were presented with Alcacia Network opening an adult stabilization bed site. And it was basically at a former shelter site. So it was converted from one type of use to another, but nonetheless to service a vulnerable population. Council member Pierina Sanchez has taken the lead on bringing the community together and engaging all concerned parties, which I want to give her kudos for that and appreciate that. So something that'll be part of my report, and feel free to look that up when it's posted, is a link to the letter that she has sent the stakeholders and her follow-up to ensuring that Acacia does the right thing by both its clients and the community. And this facility is at 2287 University Avenue, for those that may have missed that. But I think it's something that many board members have expressed concerns over, and I want to make sure that this is something that everybody's in the loop. Update also on the Yankee Scholarship. Unfortunately, the committee ladies and company have done a great job at reaching out, as well as the staff in the office. We have called every single Bronx high school, outreach to nonprofits. And unfortunately, all we got were 3 applicants. We did receive more, but they did not live within the Community Board 7 boundaries. We have up to 5 slots that we can fill. They're willing to give us another couple of days to find 2, but it's been very hard. As you know, the requirements have changed. So, we can give it another push for another couple of days, but if not, 3 were already submitted. And I'm sure Leoris would share more of that in his report. According to new guidelines that have been given to us by the states, we shall remain on Zoom until June, until further notice on what that's going to look like with the open meeting law, if any changes are to be made. Another thing, obviously, but it's going to be talked about here today, is the medical cannabis dispensary operations being relocated over to 27 West Fordham Road. That'll be discussed further by our health committee chair later on. But also in my report, you will find a link to the fact sheet as well as on the agenda. So there are some questions that could be answered prior to this presentation. The last thing is I definitely want to give, Barbara told me to cut this one short, so I'm cutting it short. I want to give a big shout out to the board members that attended the Easter egg hunt. We were one of the sponsors over at Woodlands Bridge Oval. So thank you for the Woodlands Bridge Oval Recreational Center for always involving the community, doing nice things. Egg hunts are always fun. We had Jade and Carla who attended. Carla brought her baby, so that was nice. Betty, Lowell were there, so we want to thank them and also encourage other board members to participate more in community outings. I think as board members, you have a better opportunity to engage the community because you're volunteers and you can entice them to join. But yeah, just wanted to say thank you to everyone on that. Any questions? Chad, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, just a quick question.
Sure.
And I guess this is just a question. I'm not sure if you know. Approximately how long will it take after a meeting is recorded for it to show up on YouTube? Will it take like 2 weeks or something, close to a month?
So the YouTube happened immediately. I wouldn't tell you immediately, right? So whenever like the staff gets around to publishing it, but I would say easily within 24 hours. And if we don't get to it and someone wants it, we'd be happy to share that.
Oh, okay.
Just in case. Because remember that, I think I've shared this in the past, we get assigned a liaison and there's only one liaison for all 59. So sometimes things don't happen the way we want them to, but so far I would say lately they've been pretty good. So I would say immediately. Now, in terms of minutes, that's on you guys. You get them to me and they will get posted. So we have to make sure that we are, doing that in a timely fashion.
Gotcha.
But for the most part, the videos, you go to the website, you go to the YouTube link, which is on our website as well. You'll be able to see them right away.
Got you. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions from anyone? Thank you, Aisha. So next we have on the agenda is the chairperson's update.
Hi. I would like to follow up on some of the in-house items that were raised at the last meeting. So I'm asking that we move that to the end of the meeting and go into executive session at that point.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll skip that to the last part. Next, we have new business. We have a presentation from the Health and Human Services Committee. Michelle Avila, you want to take this portion over?
Sure. Thanks so much, Chad. Good evening, everyone. We are here today to bring to you some updates on a medical cannabis facility that has opened up on Fordham Road. I'd like to invite the folks here to please unmute yourselves. Please provide your name, your title, and then give an overview of the facility, what we can expect from the opening, what has happened since the opening, and then I'm happy to moderate questions as they come up.
Certainly. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, chairs Avila, Royer, and Stronzer, members of the executive committee and members of Community Board 7. My name is Jonathan Greenspun. I am a managing director at Mercury Public Affairs, and since last summer, I've served as a government relations consultant to PharmaCann. I'm actually coming to you from next door. I reside in CB8, Riverdale, have for the past 17 years. Very familiar with the neighborhood, very familiar with your board. You all do wonderful work. I also want to give a real deep thanks to your wonderful district manager, Aisha Bravo, who has been accessible and available to everyone here from PharmaCann, and so I really want to thank her. I'm going to turn it over to Brandon Nemec, who will introduce himself, and then Brandon will also turn it over to the other members of the PharmaCann team. Brandon.
Thanks, Jonathan. Madam Chair Avila, Madam Chair Stronzer, and Mr. Vice Chair Royer, and of course, District Manager. I want to echo the thank you, District Manager Bravo. We are delighted tonight. My name is Brandon Nemec. I am a Government and Regulatory Affairs Associate Director at PharmaCann and handle the legal, legislative, and local community engagement on behalf of the company. And with me tonight, I have two very, very experienced colleagues that are working, that live and breathe the work within our dispensary operations in Bronx, Fordham, and in Dr. Harbison's case elsewhere. And so I'll hand it over to Dr. Harbison, Dr. Kevin Harbison, who's here with us tonight before we introduce Franklin.
Hi, how's it going? I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys today. My name is Kevin Harbison, so I'm a pharmacist with PharmaCann. I've been with the company about 5 years now. I am our manager of clinical services. I'm also the clinical director for Maryland, and I also am filling in as the interim district manager for all of New York. And I'll turn it over to Franklin. He's our general manager at our Bronx facility.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the time today. I am super excited to be here with all you guys. My name's Franklin Ravello. I have been working here for Verilife for the past 8 months. And I was part of the relocation, and I got to see kind of like how we built this location from the ground up, and super excited to be here. Thank you for the time again.
So if possible, if someone can give Brandon sharing rights, he has a presentation which he'd like to share via PowerPoint.
Yeah, I think you should be able to share.
Let me give it a shot. My apologies. It looks like my computer for some reason has this block. I wonder if one of my colleagues can open the document and see.
I'll give it a shot, Brandon.
Yeah, please.
Thank
you, Jonathan.
Brandon. No problem. Okay. Can everyone see that?
We can see it.
No longer on the screen.
Oh,
oops. Sorry about that. I just want to get it into
Presentation mode.
presentation mode. Exactly.
Control F5, I think, Jonathan.
All right. That didn't work, but
Jonathan, maybe try slideshow.
yeah, I do. And when I do that, can you all see that now?
No, we still see the slide outline and the landing slide.
Brandon, you want to, can we try it this way? Can everyone see it this way though?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, no problem. You'll just tell me when you want the next slide. That's fine.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for everyone's patience. And I had technical difficulties earlier and was afraid that was going to happen. But again, Brandon Nemec, I just very quickly, our company, our parent company is named PharmaCann. We operate under the brand name VeriLife for our medical cannabis dispensaries in the state of New York. So we are presenting tonight on a relocation from Bronx Hunts Point to the current location now where we've been operating since January at 27 West Fordham Road. And we wanted to make sure that the community board had a full overview of our operations. Tonight, we'll talk a little bit about our company's history in New York. We'll talk a little bit about our company's operations, our security protocols. You'll be able to see some security renderings and design plans. We will highlight some of the rehabilitation efforts that we took to the current dispensary that we're operating in the Bronx Fordham location. And we want to breeze through this quickly enough that we can have ample time to answer any questions that the community board may have. First and foremost, I wanted to extend to everybody that it is an open invitation to come and view our dispensary firsthand if you have the time and you have the interest and want to learn more about what the inside of a medical dispensary looks like. I just wanted to first and foremost put it out that we will absolutely facilitate that. Our general manager who's on tonight, Franklin, will help facilitate there. But here's an overview really quickly of our national footprint. So just to underscore that we have been operating as founded as a medical cannabis company at the inception of simultaneously the Illinois medical program and the New York medical program. And that we now operate 53 operational dispensaries across 8 state markets. We're what's called in the cannabis industry a vertically integrated company, which means that we have production and cultivation and processing capacities, as well as distribution networks at the retail level. So we operate throughout the entire supply chain in each of our state markets, including in New York State, where we have a production facility located in the Hudson Valley area in a town called Hamptonburg. It's about an hour and 15 minutes northwest of New York City. We have 4 operational dispensaries right now, medical dispensaries right now in the state of New York, in Amherst, outside of Buffalo, Liverpool, outside of Syracuse, Albany, the state capital, as well as in Bronx, of course. We are a medical cannabis company, as I mentioned, founded at our inception. It's in our DNA. I wanted to hand it over to Dr. Kevin Harbison briefly. As he mentioned, he oversees all the practitioners within our suite of services as a medical cannabis operator, and just to talk a little bit about his work and his perspective.
Thank you. So for me, overseeing the pharmacists and making sure that what we're doing is focused on consultations with our patients, making sure that we're picking appropriate products for them, making sure that we're giving people the best product for their condition. So that's kind of the neat aspect of what medical cannabis does, is gives people that one-on-one attention if they need it, and then other people that don't need it, they're able to move from there. As part of our group within, we do have our chief medical advisor, Dr. Kimless, with us, and she's more recent to our organization. So having that knowledge that she has in pain management is great for us. We have Chris Diorio, who's been with us since inception, I believe. He's come to us from a background heavy in pharmaceuticals, so he's had some experience with Pfizer, Wyeth. He does a lot of our research and development. So some of the products that we have, the unique technology in our capsules that allow them to work as effectively as they do and last as long as they do, is all from his research and development. And if you can go to the next slide. So we started off in New York in 2015. We had the highest score when it came to application process in New York, which is something that our company is very proud of. We do have the 4 sites that Brandon mentioned before. When we started off, we only had a handful of qualifying conditions, as some of you guys may know from the very beginning. Our focus was assisting our patients, and we were able to get those qualifying conditions expanded out. We were able to add chronic pain, which helped a lot of people. We also were able to add post-traumatic stress as a qualifying condition. And we were even able to get in there a qualifying condition for opiate replacement and substitution for narcotics. We're now in our 6th year of operation in New York, and we're one of the only licensed dispensaries in the Bronx. We offer discounts to patients with Social Security disability, veteran status, and 65 plus. We also are committed to being a big part of the community. We've done food drives in the past. We've also done cleanup and volunteer events. We've done toy drives around the holidays. We've done more recently a drive for the SPCA and the different regions that we operate in. We do have a program with a few of the pharmacy schools. We have 3 of them that we're affiliated with, where we bring on pharmacy interns and help them get their required hours in order to graduate. So mentoring them, getting them to where they need to be. One of the schools, since it's a private school, actually pays us to do this. We take all that money and we actually donate it to Western New York Heroes, which is a local veteran organization that's around our Amherst dispensary. We've done food distribution in the past. And these are just some of the few things that we've done to help in the community, because for us, the biggest part of operating in these communities is being a part of the communities. We've operated safely and securely without any incident at Hunts Point for 5 years. Many transactions. And we've successfully been in our current location for 3 months now with no issues to speak of. Our goal is to make sure that when we relocated, we wanted to make sure that we were in an area that was more accessible to our patients, because the old Hunts Point location was part of what the requirements were at the beginning of the regulations that came through for the program. And it was a little challenging for our patients to get there. So we're in an area where we're very close to the subway, very close to bus routes. So it makes it a lot easier for foot traffic. And then one of the other aspects that we have is that all of our dispensaries in New York and our cultivation center, we're part of the union organization. So our workforce is a skilled workforce, part of the union. Their chapter is Local 338. And then I'll turn it back over to you, Brandon, for the dispensary site.
Yeah, of course. And just for those on the phone, if you didn't hear it, the medical market in New York State is, by all accounts, when you measure state by state, very limited in patient access. There's about 40 licenses that are available right now in the medical program, and only about 30 dispensaries are operational, and 125,000 patients statewide. And so, that patient access was so key. We are, and have been since the inception of the New York medical program, the only dispensary that is serving the Bronx, and has been for the last 5 years. And so we just wanted to underscore how important it was for us to make sure that we were at a part of the Bronx community here in Fordham that is accessible by public transit and available to our patients. And here we'll just transition quickly. Here I'll just provide a couple of visuals for those that aren't able to visit the dispensary in person and do an in-person tour. First and foremost, I just wanted to show you, this is not the Bronx Fordham site. These are photos because we don't have our final signage up yet at the Bronx Fordham site. I just wanted to show you a couple photos to highlight that our signage is very professional and medical in nature. It is not flashy, it is not provocative. And of course, we're subject to very, very strict regulations on advertising and marketing by the state of New York, by the Office of Cannabis Management, and they cannot be provocative and appealing to children in any way. And I just wanted to make sure that you saw what our final signage looks like, and then I'll show you some renderings of the the facade here. Thank you, Jonathan. Perfect transition. So here's what our final signage will look like. Here's where it will be located. And this is just to show you a little bit of the rehabilitation efforts that we took at 27 West Fordham Road. Everything was cleaned, repainted, brushed up, and rehabilitated to make the site look very modern and very professional. Jonathan, thank you so much. Here are some internal renderings, and we'll provide some photos too, some live photos. But there is the once coming in through the entrance vestibule and the exterior, the perimeter of the store. You'll walk into a lobby area, and that is a man trap, we call it, for all intents and purposes. That first door there beyond the check-in desk is secure access controls, and everybody that comes in, every medical patient will go up to the check-in desk and have their ID checked, their medical patient ID checked, and have an ID scan to verify their identity. It's a technology that would do a scan of all 50 states to make sure that they are a registered medical patient under the state of New York. And then to your right there, the image is just a rendering, a pre-designed, pre-implementation rendering of the sales floor. I believe we have 9 point of sale stations there, and the lines will flow in between those display cases. And there's no product on the other side that's in that limited access area there on the sales floor. All of the product will be stored in a secure DEA schedule vault overnight, and product comes out into a day storage area where it's given to registered patients at the point of sale that are there to complete a purchase. The next slide is just a bird's eye view of the approved floor plan that we had approved by the state of New York. And there you'll see, again, just an overview of the entrance there, right off of Fordham Road into the vestibule there where patients will check in, and then proceed into the sales floor. And that is as far as a registered patient can make it in there. The point of sale stations, right where Jonathan's mouse is as far as a non-registered agent who is badged and background checked by the state of New York to work in our dispensary, one of our employees. You would have to use an access control card in order to enter beyond the point of sale station. So just to highlight, it's a very, very secure environment. The storage of product is kept separate and apart and highly secured. We touched a little bit on security, but generally our security follows, I would say, 4 main pillars. And it starts first and foremost with our personnel. I mentioned the security check-in. So we have internal security, asset protection, we refer to them as, who are monitoring the internal facility and monitoring the cameras and making sure that no unauthorized individuals, non-registered patients are coming into the facility. Any visitor access is required to allow for notification to the state. And all visitors are logged and badged. So if we have a service professional that's there, we have to explain the purpose to the state, and they're logged and escorted by an agent at all times while in the facility. The same would hold true for even a Community Board 7 member who's a non-registered medical patient. If you did want to come in, we would log you in the visitor access logs and report that. The second pillar is, of course, our security surveillance, which I mentioned, is not only covering all 4 corners of the internal facility itself. Everything except for the bathrooms literally has a camera that is monitoring 24/7, 365 days a year. But we also have perimeter cameras as well that are surrounding the facility so that we can monitor the external premises and see even the outside areas are secure. We have third-party security. We contract with Metro One Security. These are unarmed guards, but security that are monitoring the premises and standing outside in front of the facility just to make sure that there's no unruly behavior or anything going on that would alert us to a security issue. We provide remote access to those cameras to the Office of Cannabis Management. And right now, our general manager, Franklin, has been making outreach to the New York Police Department. We want to make sure that those cameras are logged in. We know that the NYPD has a really, really robust, world-class remote surveillance system that they're able to monitor cameras as well. And we want to provide that extra layer of security so that NYPD can also communicate quickly with our security in the event that there's any incident that takes place outside the facility. And then finally, we have 24/7 alarm monitoring systems and access controls. So anytime, as I mentioned, one of our registered agents is going to enter into a restricted access area of the facility, they'll scan an ID badge and there's a timestamp of who it was and when they came in. For vault access, that's limited to a certain number of employees that are only necessary to have such vault access, and they will also have to enter in a separate PIN in addition to their access control card. So just to underscore some of the highlights of our security protocols there. And I do want to pause for a moment in case there's anything I missed, or if there's anything our general manager Franklin would like to weigh in on as someone who's implementing these security protocols every day.
I think you kind of covered most of it all. I think it's been really good to see the process through, like in moving in here, having that third party security out there, being that first contact, with the patient, finding out if they have the medical card or not. And if they don't, like giving out that information. We did notice that there's a lot of people in the community that were interested and very curious about what was coming here, and a lot of knocks on our doors to find out what was going on. And we knew that it was time for us to kind of like really educate people about what the medical marijuana card does for you, how does it affect you, your pockets, and how can you prevent from paying taxes in the recreational world and stuff like that. So definitely having that layer at the front, asking those questions when they come in, checking them in, not letting just anybody off of the street walking in here has made the staff feel really feel safe and feel good. And we know that the neighborhood has some turmoil going on, but we have definitely really come in here with an open mind. We employ like 65% of the people that work here are from the Bronx, from the community. So I think it's really important when people know what they're walking into and what the community is about. We came in with respect, and we've definitely done a really great job at getting compliments from people about keeping, the block clean, and partnering up with my other retail neighbors to see what they're doing and how we can all support each other to kind of really make a stamp on the block and make this block better, cleaner than it was when we found it.
That's great. Thank you, Franklin. John, you can skip to the next slide. And John, are you coming up on time?
I am, but I think I want to, just in light of the fact that this is being recorded, the next slide is a little sensitive to be shared. It's just where the security cameras are. And so I think it's probably best if, we probably skip that one, only just to keep security discretion. I'm going to go to receiving.
You should do that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's a really good thought, John, and thank you for understanding. And just the information on that slide, 34 total cameras, interior and exterior combined. There are 7 duress alarms and panic alarms at the point of sale station. God forbid if anything were to happen in the facility, immediate contact with local law enforcement and our security company. Real quickly, just touching on how our products are delivered. I know that this is a question that often comes up, and many times individuals will revert to some of the imagery they saw maybe in some West Coast markets with individuals with, big guns and duffel bags of cannabis trying to self-protect. We run and state mandated, very discreet, very controlled process for deliveries. So for example, from our Hamptonburg, New York cultivation facility that is dropping off product to the Bronx facility, it will happen on a randomized schedule. It will be directly into a limited access area, and the vehicles themselves are discreet, unmarked. You would not know that they are there to drop off cannabis. And if all goes as planned, which it has in all of our other markets for years now, these deliveries will occur out of sight, out of mind. And then just wanted to touch on very quickly that we have an automated inventory control system. The state, of course, just like our surveillance cameras, also has the ability to access our inventory at any time, and is able to track against the software system the inventory that's coming in and going out, and including the point of sale. So I would leave you with, there is zero opportunity for undetected diversion of product within our facility. Franklin, anything I missed?
No, you got it right on. Inventory is done every single day and everything is accounted for at all times.
Yeah, and if there is some glitch in the system, which happens all the time, we resolve that quickly with the state and we provide an explanation as to why there was a discrepancy, if it's just some error in the system or, a product that was mislabeled or misbranded, et cetera.
So only for the sake of time, Brandon, I think we're gonna probably conclude it with the photos from the inside so the board members can get a sense of what everything looks like. These are actual photos of the facility.
Perfect. Jonathan, if you have to go, I think we can just flip to that last slide there and Franklin and I can start engaging in Q&A. Franklin, is there anything else on community outreach that you wanted to highlight that we didn't have the opportunity so far?
I've been in partnership with like the 52nd Precinct. I did extend an invitation to them. They will be coming here in the next few days for a walkthrough of the dispensary. I have also been in partnership with a lot of my other local businesses just to kind of like get insights on like when their peak traffic is as a newcomer into the neighborhood. I've built really great relationships with the neighbors. There's also this street vendor. His name is Ali. He sells right next to my dispensary. The first thing I did was introduce myself to him. He told me his story. He's been selling out there for 15 years. And together, we help each other out. Like we're constantly cleaning outside. We constantly see people throw stuff and he'll call me, he'll show me things. We'll clean together and we've built that great relationship and we're getting the neighborhood involved. Tomorrow it's Earth Day. So I started talking to some of the neighbors and I said how great it would be for us to go to the playground and all together kind of like start cleaning. So tomorrow from 12 to 2, I have some of my employees, including myself and a couple of people from the neighborhood. We're going to go to the park and help clean out for a few hours just in lieu of Earth Day.
So I think that's the presentation. We'd love to entertain questions from the members.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon, Jonathan, Franklin, Dr. Harbison. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was very informative. Before I open it to my fellow board members for questions, I did want to ask Franklin if maybe you could talk a little bit about what you've seen since opening. You alluded to, having to do some education efforts in terms of people being curious about what the facility is, how do they obtain a medical marijuana card, but just wondering if you could talk, like, apart from that, those pieces, what else has been happening? What's been your experience since you first opened up?
So I've experienced a lot of excitement. We have those glass windows and we can see through and they can see inside and, people are waving, people are asking, what is this? And when they find out what it is, I see a lot of excitement and happiness. They're saying, how does this work? How do I get in there? How do I get to buy stuff? And when I meant education, I feel like there's a lot of cannabis consumers out here, but they've never really gotten the opportunity to get it from a cannabis dispensary. They're used to getting it on the corner of the bodega. So it's a different, we're providing a different experience to people. And I just love the fact that a lot of people never knew that they could get a medical card, or they didn't know that they can actually just walk up and buy it legally and walk out of here with a bag. So having those conversations with the community outside, it's been really eye-opening to how much people don't really know about the program. And I'm excited because I live in the Bronx. I grew up here. I grew up in the Heights. I am from Dominican Republic and I love being able to be here and talking to people that speaks my same language and I'm giving them insights. And I love what I do because I get to change people's perception about cannabis, because the perception is that, when you do cannabis, you're either lazy or it's a gateway drug. And I'm a pretty productive person. I love the job that I do. And, like the people that we have here are very passionate about what they do and they love talking and educating people on cannabis.
Thanks, Franklin. I'm going to lift up a question in the chat that our DM also answered, but also wanted to see if you wanted to add anything. So Betty Arce asked, were there any security issues at the Hunts Point location in the 4 or 5 years you were there? Any attempts to break in and steal inventory? And Aisha thankfully said none were reported by the 42nd precinct in Hunts Point. Just wanted to know if you wanted to add anything there.
No, there's really nothing to add. Haven't had any incidents. We didn't have it in Hunts Point. No incidents here as of yet.
Thank you. Chad, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I did. Thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to ask, would there ever be a need to have armed security? And if so, what would be something that would necessitate that?
So we see it as a best practice, frankly, within the cannabis industry, not to have armed security and to have a direct line of communication with local law enforcement. And that's what Franklin mentioned. He's in the process right now of establishing a really close relationship with the 52nd precinct. And what we would see as a best practice within the cannabis industry is not to have armed security with the ability to use a firearm and potentially escalate an incident that's unwarranted, but have trained law enforcement respond, of course, who are armed and who are trained in the use of force. And our security personnel, all the way to our employees, are trained in de-escalation. We certainly do have a lot of patients who have acute issues, some perhaps suffering from mental illness, and we have to be very mindful and very respectful of the fact that we have to be calm, peaceful in our tone, and always make sure to de-escalate a situation. But if there's ever an incident where it may arise to the safety of our employees, the safety of our other patients who are in the dispensary, we wouldn't hesitate to call local NYPD and engage in a collective response there.
Got you. Thank you for that.
Thank you,
Vice Chair.
Brandon. I'm going to call on the other members of the executive committee before turning it to our general board members. So Barbara and then Betty.
Thank you for the presentation. My question is, once marijuana becomes legal in New York State, will your clientele in any way change? Or will it always be a medical facility?
Madam Chair, thank you. It's a very good question. The best answer I can give is based off of other state experiences that have transitioned from where New York is right now with legal operational medical market to an adult use market. It really does depend on the regulations and the manner in which medical dispensaries are still allowed to operate and still allowed to provide patient access. And I think the way, at least the adult use law, the MRTA, the Marijuana Regulation and Tax Act that was passed last year in New York reads, is that we will absolutely continue to be able to sustain our patient base. Our market here in New York is very similar to, I would compare it to a Colorado. And we have the experience now of longitudinal data that looks back in Colorado 8 to 9 years. And the big trigger is there going to be patient access? Is the program going to be accessible, which the MRTA both allowed? It added 40 new dispensaries, which will come online, a date to be determined, and allowed for practitioners to have the discretion to certify a condition that they believe provides what is termed under the law a therapeutic and palliative benefit. And so that will give the flexibility for patient access. And then really one of the big triggers is there a disparate price? And there will be, because adult use cannabis in New York will be taxed higher than medical cannabis, which is treated like a pharmaceutical product and not taxed as though it's intended for recreational use.
Okay.
So
Thank
that's
you.
the best answer I can give. Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you.
It's a great question, Betty. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Brandon, for your answer. And I do want to lift up that it is approved for recreational use. And so, Barbara, you made me think we might want to also pull together a fact sheet, updating folks about the recreational use that is currently on the laws. Betty?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very interesting presentation. Who are your patients? One. And how are they referred to your facility? Do they need a prescription?
Dr. Harbison, you want to take that?
Yep. So our patients are pretty much anybody that can go to a provider that can certify them in cannabis. So it can be anybody in the neighborhood. There's no restrictions to it. You just have to find a licensed practitioner that will certify the patient based upon the criteria that's out there. So with the latest addition to the cannabis regulations, practitioners can actually certify patients at their discretion, versus in the beginning, we had a strict set of qualifying conditions that we were forced to have people certified through. So for example, in the past, anxiety wasn't a qualifying condition. So if you were a patient that had been using cannabis in another state under a medical program there, and you moved to New York, we're not able to have you into our program because that wasn't a qualifying condition. So the new changes in the bill and these new regulations are actually allowing us to get patients in based upon what a practitioner allows. So pretty much anybody, they just have to get certified is the rate limiting step.
So the practitioner is not necessarily a medical doctor, or?
It'll be a doctor, or it'll be a nurse practitioner or a physician assistant. So they do need to hold, currently, I believe the standard is that they have to have DEA prescriptive rights, basically in regular medicine, be able to write for controlled substances, and then they would have the ability to certify a patient for cannabis.
Is this covered by any kind of medical insurance?
It currently is not, just because federally this is still considered a Schedule I. So it's not recognized as having any kind of medical benefit to it. But we have seen some progress in the last probably month, where we've seen that start to move through the Senate, where they're looking to change that federally.
Can this be purchased online? I looked at your website and I see, look like there's online purchasing. Is that possible here as well?
So currently we offer home delivery. So that's something where you could go through, if you're a patient with a medical card, that you could actually place your order online for us to deliver to your home.
Okay, thank you.
And where we could ship or mail to anybody, because that would be playing in the federal realm.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much. And just wanted to alert folks that for the sake of time, we're going to take the remaining executive committee members and then Jake Wilson, and then we'll end the Q&A there. So I believe Lourdes, Eric, and then Jake Wilson.
Thank you, Michelle. Hello. Thank you for your presentation. My question, I guess, is for Franklin. I guess two quick questions. Well, one quick question. Are any of you going to be on site? And number two, you mentioned engaging with the community, cleaning up the neighborhood, and getting to know your neighbors. Are you opposed to, or are you open to supporting community events or efforts?
Yes, so I'm here all the time. I'm the GM here, so I am here 5-6 days a week. And yes, I am open to that. I have worked in retail most of my life, and we always did a lot of community events in any store that I worked at. So I am more than open to that. And I think it's a great way not to just help the community, but also to get to know people and to get people to know our business. So definitely open. So if you stop by here, I'll give you my card and we can schedule something.
Thank you. Thank you. Also, down the block from you, there's a bakery. It's been there forever. You got to check it out.
Definitely will. Thank you.
Committee or board members are interested, we can maybe go together, reach out to Franklin, go together, tour the facility, and talk a little bit more about community partnerships. So we can email and coordinate that afterwards. Eric?
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everyone, for the presentation. I have a few questions. So just a clarification, so no recreational user will be ever able to use your facility?
That is also an excellent question. And I'll do my best to answer it as well with a little bit of uncertainty. But so right now, this is a medical dispensary, medical only. The only people who can enter are certified medical patients with an active certification approved by the state of New York. The MRTA, the adult use law that passed last year, will allow 3 of the 4 medical dispensaries that we currently have in the state operating to be selected for what we would call co-located or adult use and medical. And under that rubric, we're required to continue to prioritize our medical patients, always maintain an adequate supply, make sure that they have, of course, free and clear access. But we would be able to serve adult use customers 21 and over. And we don't know what the licensing rubric is going to be. We don't know what the parameters yet or the rules are on how that's going to occur. So it's possible that this location could be available to be selected for recreational customers 21 and over, as well as medical patients. In the event that that happens, I will promise to you today, Franklin and Dr. Harbison will back me up. We will not proceed with that down that path until we have another consultation with the Community Board 7. So we want to make sure that you are fully apprised of what the operational changes may look like, what the changes to foot traffic may look like, and that we're prepared together with the community in order to support that kind of a change.
So you haven't applied for that other license just yet?
It's actually, so the way the state is rolling out the licenses, and for those that have been tracking the development of the adult use program, the state is moving as fast as they possibly can to open up the legal market. And they have opened up a licensing package for, I believe they announced up to 200 new adult use retailers, recreational retailers, and that's statewide. And they've got the licensing requirements that those entities will have to undergo in order to obtain a license. Right now, the medical dispensaries are not part of that licensing change. So we'll likely see the state move forward with those licenses and then perhaps follow up with an opportunity for the medical dispensaries to serve both recreational and medical patients.
Okay, and so your Hunts Point location has been completely shut down?
That's correct. We no longer serve patients because the license moves with the entity. You know, the license now is authorized by the state only at our Bronx Fordham location, and Hunts Point has been shut down for medical patients.
Okay, can you, in the questionnaire, you did explain a little bit why you moved to Fordham, but would you want to elaborate a little bit on that maybe?
Yeah, of course. Really, it comes down to being in a more centrally located part of the Bronx. We wanted to stay in the Bronx. Of course, we recognized that we were the only legal access point for medical patients in the Bronx, and that if a Bronx resident wanted to access the medical cannabis program, if a patient wanted to access the cannabis program, they had to travel a long distance through New York City in order to find a legal dispensary. And so we wanted to relocate ourselves to a area of the Bronx that was more accessible for all of our patients, even the previous Hunts Point patients, and then new patients throughout the Bronx through public transit, the New York train system and bus system. And we saw that the Bronx Fordham location provided that centralized location, provided better public transit access, and was just more available and easier to access and convenient for medical patients.
Okay, and one last question, I'm sorry. About the living wage, you're saying that you guys are paying living wage. What is that exactly? And Franklin mentioned that 65%, so about 15 people are Bronx residents who are working with you guys. Do they get training in before just working there, or how does that all happen?
I'll answer that question. So yes, Eric, when I looked up in this neighborhood and the zip code, like the median income is about $36,000. We do pay our employees a little bit more. They start off with like $40,000. There's 401k, there's healthcare benefits, and like they mentioned earlier, they're part of a union. They are trained when they come in to start working here. We start teaching them basics of cannabis. We tend to look for people that have some sort of experience in selling and talking to people so that it can come a little natural. And what the other part that we have to kind of like really drill onto them is just kind of like the cannabis basics, you know, what to offer, what to talk to people about and whatnot. It definitely is a great opportunity for young people that are into cannabis. And I really look at my employees and I think about myself when I was younger. This would have never been the opportunity that they have right now, the knowledge that we have and what we're able to provide. We didn't have those years ago. So I'm excited for them and I see their excitement in doing something that they're actually passionate about.
Thank you, Franklin. Thank you, Eric. And last but not least, Jake Wilson. Thank you for your patience.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the slide. And I just was wondering, are medical marijuana cards, are they free? Or do you have to pay for it at your doctor's office?
Great question.
So a recent announcement came down from the Office of Cannabis Management, and this is in lockstep with their approach to lower barriers to entry into the medical cannabis program for qualifying patients. They are now waiving, it was a $50 fee that you had to pay to the state in order to obtain a medical patient card, and they are waiving that fee indefinitely. So there's no payment to the state required, which is something we obviously greatly support in encouraging medical patients who do want to try cannabis to see if it can help with their qualifying condition. So it was a tremendous windfall that the state provided there. However, as was touched on, you know, it does require a consultation with a licensed practitioner, with a doctor or somebody that can prescribe medication.
Yeah,
they tend to charge money in order for that consultation, you know, depending on whether you use your primary care doctor or whether you would go to, you know, a new doctor to approach the opportunity. And that is currently not covered by insurance. So it's
pain management doctor.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Again, we want to thank the folks from PharmaCann, VeriLife, Grant, Dr. Harbison, Franklin. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here tonight and for providing such a robust overview of the new facility. We will be sure to reach out with any questions and again, likely to coordinate a site visit. But we do want to encourage you all to please continue the communication with our district manager and our community board office. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the time. And we look forward to continuing the open line of communication and meeting with you all soon. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I posted my email there, so I hope to see you guys soon and here in Fordham.
Franklin, I'm going to send you my direct number as well through the chat.
Perfect.
So any issues or anything that I can be helpful with sanitation, other city agency, you know, sister agencies, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
I believe we're turning it over to the vice chair, Chad.
Sorry, can you hear me? Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so next I want to go to committee reports. So first, let's start with budget, personnel, and ethics. Andrew, do you have anything to report?
Yeah, just the attendance letter will be sent tomorrow to the office staff to be emailed to the 2 board members who were found to not be in compliance with the attendance requirements of Community Board 7. That's it.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Next, we have education, youth, and libraries with Lourdes Acosta. Lourdes, you have anything?
Hi, I am sad to report that our committee did not meet last month or this past month due to lack of attendance. I am connecting with everyone one-on-one, and I've gotten a commitment for the next 2 meetings. I am actually, not that this matters, I'm currently in the Dominican Republic right now. So as you know, I'm committed to this. And we are working on it. I'm trying to we got another extension on this Yankee scholarship, so I'm gonna try again. I know these high schools have kids, so I'm gonna try to, if I have to, I will personally go to some of these high schools in our area and get them this money. It's free money. So that is my only update.
Great. Thank you, Lourdes.
I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
I have a question for Lourdes.
Sure.
Why do you think, I mean, in the past, in the years that I've been on the board, and I know that the changes to the criteria for who could apply, we weren't able to get any kind of dispensation or any kind of relaxation of the criteria. I think one of the major ones has to do with, this is 50 hours of community service, something like that. Is that one of the major changes to this year's?
Yeah, so I mean, Aisha also shared this with me. It might just be the 50 hours of community service requirement. I also think that the fact that if I think if I already had this relationship with some of the guidance counselors or college advisors in some of these schools, it would be way easier. I used to be a college advisor. So when these opportunities came up, I could just snatch kids up and have them apply. So I think that plays a role as well. It's just like finding the kids, but where are they?
Okay, all right, thank you.
Have you tried partnering with the New York Public Library, maybe?
I did. I spoke to the Mashlou branch and the Bronx Library Center over on Kingsbridge and Fordham, and they said they share it. They haven't been able to send any my way. So yeah, but I'll always
Just
open
to,
for suggestions.
yeah, and just to add, like I said earlier, like we literally contacted every single Bronx high school, because high schools, obviously you can go to any high school, you just have to live within CB7. But to everybody's point here, there was I guess the qualifications have changed. And there are like 3 steps to it. And unfortunately, when I reached out, they said that I would still have to submit every single documentation that is requested. I couldn't just submit a name. I was hoping to make changes because this was a request from several members, including the committee. If there's some modifications to the qualifications, and maybe then, obviously, like to your point, Betty, because of COVID, because of many things, but like they say, no cigar on this one. We've reached out to nonprofits. We've reached out to folks that have youth groups, similarly to like the precinct council, right? They have their explorers. But yeah, we've tried everything. I mean, we've reached out to our libraries as well, just to kind of post them, and everything is posted just similarly to what has been done for the last few years, right? Like nothing's really, in that sense, it hasn't changed. I don't know. I really think it's just the extra stuff, the extra layers this time. We did get applicants, but they just didn't live in CB7. That was another issue. So
yeah,
so
I submitted. I reached out to Sarah at the Williamsbridge Oval Rec Center. She was happy to post. I reached out to Mashlou Parkland because they worked with kids during the summer. They'd have summer youth kids. Some of them might have applied or could have applied, but I don't know they all lived in CB7 or not, so I didn't know where else to, how far and where to go.
yeah. We got, I would say roughly maybe, and don't quote me on this, maybe 7 or 8. Lodi sent us a couple as well, like random, we did get applications, but unfortunately when we looked them up, they were not CB7 residents. We did reach out to those students who did apply, and we referred them to their respective community board because they're all going through this process right now. But yeah, that was it. So this is the first time in 4 years since I've been district manager where we either get the 5. It's never been that easy either, just to share. It's not like we've always had like 7 or 8 where we've had to. No, it's always been probably just the 5 in the last 4 years, just to be candid. So like, I want to say it's difficult to say there's only 3, but we've always had just the 5. I don't think the committee has ever had to like really go through a selection process since I've been here, in my experience. And we can go back to minutes to prove that, but
you're right.
Yeah, it's always been hard.
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you. Any more questions? No more questions? No? Okay, moving on. So we have Environment and Sanitation, Betty Arce.
Thank you. Oh, shoot, I'm sorry, I lost it. I do have a motion. I'm sorry. Should I do the motion or should I had my notes. Real quick, trying to recall everything we did. We had a couple of presentations. We had a group from Grow NYC, it was very interesting. They want to do what's called a stop and swap, which is taking, it's a way of recycling materials, primarily household goods. And it's basically you bring your stuff and you could exchange it for something else. So looking for a site in our community board, I recommended the Williamsbridge Oval. They have an open area, and I ran into Isabel, one of the Grow NYC reps. She was at the Easter egg hunt. I invited her to come, and she's going to talk to Sarah and see if there's a way to use that site for a stop and swap kind of thing. So that was like the biggest thing that we had going there. And we talked about the farm stand at on Gun Hill Road. They have an organic compost that's on Thursdays. You can bring your organic waste, food waste to that site on Thursdays, and they have a farm stand there as well. So they're selling goods, and they're there almost all year round, trying to selling local produce. And that's about it. And then I have a motion. Do I present it now or?
Do you have it ready?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me see if I can share it. I always have difficulty with this. I sent it to Carla, but let me see if I can share my screen. And as usual, motion. Okay. Can you see it? You see it? Oops, did I do the wrong thing?
We
Is it
see
up?
something. A summary and then.
Bronx summary, yes, that's it, right? Bronx
Yes,
motion summary. The title is Restoration and Expansion of Citywide Curbside Organic Collection. The committee's Environment and Sanitation, and the recommended action is a letter to City Council. The background is the expansion of the curbside organic collection program was curtailed in 2021 due to COVID-related staffing shortages. Bronx Community Board 7 residents were participating in the program, and the board was working on encouraging more private homeowners and apartment building owners to participate when the program was halted. The program was scheduled to be restored when newly elected Mayor Eric Adams suspended the expansion of the program, denying residents of Bronx CB7 access to a vital sanitation service. Rationale is methane from organic waste is destroying our environment and speeding climate change. Organic waste makes up 34% of the city's residential garbage. Composting keeps it out of landfills where it emits methane, a greenhouse gas that is far more potent than carbon dioxide. And just as important for a city with a growing rat problem, separating food scraps and other organic waste into plastic bins reduces the attractiveness of the city's garbage to rodents. Many residents want to compost, but the program is either not available in their districts or in their building. There is support for a mandated program in the city council as well as at the state level. A mandated citywide program is the best way to increase participation with a requirement that residents and businesses separate food scraps and yard waste from trash. The timing, I guess, would be like ASAP. Our for the future action would be to follow up with the city council. We had 4 yes and 1 abstention, and that is the motion.
okay.
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. Do I need to stop sharing? Am I okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is the motion. So do I have?
I'll second it.
Okay,
Chad Royer, I'll second it.
thank you. So this will come before the full board
Yes.
on next week. Okay.
Does anyone have comments
Yeah. Anyone
or
have
questions? Anyone?
All I want to say is that when the mayor did announce that he was reducing, or actually he was going back on his word, on his campaign word to do this, he got a lot of blowback from city council, including the chair of the city council sanitation committee, Sandy Nurse, and other elected officials who really want to see the program continue. Okay. So I think that
in social media, you could see that Eric Denowitz had been instrumental at CV8 on making sure that a lot of buildings signed up. And I had mentioned that to him in another, I guess, in the social media post that he did. Now it's turn for CV7 to come over to this side of the district and help us do the same.
Love it. Yes.
So it will be beneficial to reach out to his office as well, maybe with this motion. So maybe he can co-sign the letter or provide some other kind of, because I'm not sure if the project, if Riverdale in that section is getting the service.
They are. The program, as I understand it, it hasn't been eliminated. It has been, the expansion of it has been has been curtailed. So those community boards that had already had it will continue to get it, and CB8 is getting it. You know.
So I had also mentioned to you and to Aisha before that in the new upcoming buildings that are opening up in the district, when they come to present, that was one of the requests that the housing committee was going to do for them to sign up for this program automatically.
That's something to consider. I mean, we just got to make sure that sanitation will then come and do their job, which is to pick up the organic waste. So yeah, so that we could work on that, Eric. I like that. Yeah, definitely. And maybe we could even tailor the letter somehow that way, that this is an action that we think should take place. That could be something we could consider. So before we send out the letter, work with the staff on the wording and incorporate these kinds of things in there to make sure that it's a strong, because that was the point of the committee, that we have a strongly written letter, you know, that's not just, you know, please, you know, do this, we want, and if we can't do have actions that we think that can be implemented, let's include that in the letter as well. Okay.
Yeah, can you please add that to the motion template? It
Yes.
helps a lot with language in respect to what the committee wants.
Yes, I will do that. I'll definitely do that. I'll revamp it before it goes to the general board meeting, and I'll share it with you, Aisha, before I send it out, okay?
And also we, you know, and I think I've said this, any letters that leave from the office, all elected officials overlapping with CB7 get the letter. But to Eric's point, if you wanted to put more of an emphasis on council members Dinowitz's efforts in other community boards to kind of be helpful to us, since he already has obviously a track record on that, then we can obviously invite them to maybe your next committee meeting so they can, you know, potentially do their own letter as well.
Okay, all right, we'll discuss that. Good, I like that. Very good, thank you. Okay,
So we still have the motion on the floor. Do we want to continue?
do we have to take a vote, right?
Yes.
Okay, so anybody else have any questions or concerns that I could answer or suggestions?
I'm okay.
Okay, all right. So I guess we take a vote now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so Robert Stronzer,
I vote yes on the motion.
Eric Asensio,
I'll vote yes.
Betty Arce,
I vote yes.
Yahaira Arias,
Tahira Arias votes yes.
Michelle Avila,
Michelle Avila votes yes.
Andrew Leosa.
Andrew Leosa approves the motion.
Emmanuel's on leave. Edgar, I don't think he's on the call. Edgar? No. Luis Acosta,
Laurisa Acosta approves.
Chad Royer approves. Victor Saldana, I don't think he's on. Looks like the motion approves.
Thank you.
I just want to add to the attendance, just make sure that absence versus no is reflected.
Oh,
That has to be, that can't be confused with an N. You have to put out a leave of absence for a manual. When it comes to attendance, I'm sorry, not attendance, recording, a yes or a no has to be done right.
So it has to reflect, so it can't be left blank.
No, you should say what it is, because then if we ever get foiled for anything, it's gonna look like Victor said no to the motion.
Got it. Good point.
You have to accurately record it.
Okay, will do.
Got it. Thank you, Betty. So next we have Michelle Avila,
Thanks,
Health
Chad.
and- Health and Human Services.
Thank you, Chad. So our committee did not meet this month due to a scheduling conflict. And we'll look forward to meeting next month, and we'll send emails, updates to the committee. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next, we have Housing, Land Use and Economic Development. We have Eric Asensio. Eric?
Thank you, Chad. We had a presentation from New York City law in regards to the housing law discrimination when people have a Section 8 voucher and some tenants choose not to rent their apartment for them, etc. It was great. You could find a link on it on the agenda. And secondly, I have attended a couple of meetings in regards to the Armory that are starting to talk among the elected officials. Litigation is still ongoing in that project, so that's why it's slowly, they cannot really talk about it too much. And then for May, we intend to have the sanitation representative, Stephen, come over to talk about the new waste management law that was passed on April 1st that requires buildings over 150 units to have a waste management plan filed with the city. And also a presentation from city planning in regards to a commercial needs assessment study that was conducted by the Fordham bid. They will also be presenting. And I think our is May 10th.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that. Next, we have Parks Recreation with Barbara Stronzer.
Yes, I just want to report that we finally received a new tree list from the Parks Department for new plantings for the spring and fall. We've been trying to get our hands on their list for many months, and I will tell you more about it when I give my report at the general meeting.
Great, thank you, Barbara. So next we have Public Safety, but Victor's not on. Next we have Traffic and Transportation. Edgar's not on either.
Edgar's not on, but I chaired.
You want to give that, Yahira? Go right ahead. Traffic and Transportation.
Yahira, we lost you.
Oh, I thought I froze. Oh,
You want to go to the next one and maybe just go, oh, there she goes. There she goes.
okay. No, she's on. You need another minute, Yahira?
Can you guys hear me?
No,
Yeah.
well, now we can. We couldn't hear you before. Now you're muted. Would you? Yahira, are you there? Okay, if it's okay, we can go to the next one and we can come right back to you. Is that all right?
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh, now we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, technical difficulties with my computer. Okay, so where was I? So DOT presented, gave us 3 presentations at the last meeting. The links are on the agenda. And I guess Edgar can talk a little bit more about this at the general. But one was the safety improvements on Mashula Parkway. The other one was a Gun Hill Road presentation in reference to the lighting or the bus. They gave us data on how the bus traffic runs and lighting on Gun Hill Road, and also the Jerome Hill Road Municipal Parking Garage. These are links that are there. And we did have a lot of feedback from the community. A lot of people that we know that live in the neighborhood had a lot to say. And there was also talk about a letter of support for DOT in reference to one of these presentations. I'll leave it to Edgar to give a little bit more in detail of it come next week. Kudos to Keith at DOT for taking our complaints and taking care of them. He did take care of mine, so I'm very happy about that, and more to come at the general. Thank you.
Thank you, Ira. Thank you. So next we have Veterans Affairs. So I'll be brief. So we had two major discussions. One included the proposed closures of the VA medical centers. So prior to the meeting, we had people give feedback from the NYC Veterans Advisory Board, where they discussed in full detail what some of the constituency complaints are. And when we brought to the table at the last meeting yesterday, we've all come to the conclusion that we should get a list of all the electeds who are members of the veterans committees in the Senate and the Congress, and then come to an idea of what we would like to ask the electeds to do when we come forth with a letter of support. So that's going to take some time. The committee is going to work offline to try to gather some information so that when we come to the table, we can bring something to the board rather than do a rush job, because we're still not getting accurate info on what some of the contingency plans are. And we also got an update regarding the Woodlawn Cemetery as it relates to opportunities to do flagging events. So we don't have a date just yet, but participants will be given flags and a map to guide them to place flags at the veteran grave sites. We just need to find out if there's a group limit and what date that's going to be. So hopefully we can get that by the general meeting next week.
Chad, if I may make a suggestion also, that the letter be sent to the Bronx delegation in Congress to be more helpful in just directing it to those who chair or may be part of the Veterans Committee in Congress.
Sure, good idea. See, what happened was one of the disconnects at that meeting was that not everyone knew who all the electeds were in their area. So that came as an additional suggestion, but we'll take whatever help we can get. So thank you for that.
Yeah, the Bronx delegation would definitely be helpful, but also on our website, you can find who all your electeds are.
Got you. Thank you.
There's a link in there. All you have to do is put in your address and it'll give you everything from the top all the way to the bottom.
Got you. Thank you. So next on the agenda will be follow-ups from, I'm sorry, I missed one. Anyone from the Ad Hoc Bylaws Committee have a report? Anyone?
I would just, Myrna isn't here, like to say our next meeting is Wednesday night at 6:30, if anybody's interested in attending.
Okay, great. Thank you, Barbara. So next we have a follow-up from the previous meeting. Barbara, would you like to take on this portion?
Yes, I asked that we follow up at the end of the meeting. I'd like to go into executive session since this pertains to in-house items.
Do you want to do that now?
Yes, please. Do we have to
Motion,
take a
please?
vote? Everybody in favor of going into exec session?
I move to go to executive.
Okay, second?
Second.
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Please
so I'll be
do what you
putting
said.
everyone into a room. The public can stay behind. I'm sorry, we don't have an estimated time, so be patient. Thank you. This is always fun. All right, so just make sure you look at your screen so you can accept it. Just give me a second. This thing is not. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, ready? You should be getting it soon. Estelle, Jairo, Leoris. Michelle. Jairo. Join the room. Jairo. 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 Technical difficulties, so we're gonna do this again. Jairo, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so I am going to do it again. Oh wait, I gotta wait. Sorry, it tells me I gotta wait 40 seconds. Ah, you can't make this up. Okay. Sorry, I gotta wait. It's not letting me do anything. Oh, that's because Leody stayed behind. Jesus. All right. It's fine. It's gonna close out now.
He's in the DR.
So jealous of him right now. Okay, it looks like people are coming back. Okay, let's do this one more time.
Okay.
All right, Jair, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Want to make sure. Oh boy, what happened? Okay, now I'm having difficulties. So give me a second. My screen is it's one of those days, I guess. All right.
My screen is freezing too.
We're all pulling on the internet services. I mean, this is all we do now. So I'm sure that there's. All right, you should have everyone pay attention to your screen.
Mhm.
Leoris? Leoris? Oh, come on. Okay. Everyone's back.
Okay, so we're back. So back to the agenda. I think we are, so the next meeting date we have is May 19th, 2022. Is everyone okay with that date?
Okay with it.
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good. So last part of the agenda, do we want to discuss anything for next month? Anything?
At what point will the ad hoc committee for the bylaws be presenting to the board?
Good question. We're almost there with our edits of the current bylaws. So we'll see. I mean, I think our goal was to at least by the June meeting have something that we can present to the general board. Is Barbara, would you agree?
I would think so.
Yeah, and we really want to wrap it up so that you know, the bylaws.
So there has to be a comment period for that. So the way it works is that once you have, I guess, let's say it's done tomorrow, right? So you send it out for the full board. You have to give it a time frame for the comment period.
Okay.
So let's say you're gonna give it 10 days or 14 days. If no, you know, you got to give it that period. Then let's say 4 members send in some suggestions, then you meet again. You either as a committee choose to incorporate, take it into consideration, whatever the committee decides.
Right.
Then you bring it at that point to the executive. If the executive obviously has modifications, suggestions, blah, 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 and then it goes to the general board meeting. So there still needs to be a comment period for board members. But you pick what time frame that is.
Right, so it may be by June, it may be September, whatever, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll bring that up at the when we meet
Wednesday.
the Wednesday. Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that should be the first thing, order of business. And we'll mention that to Myrna, you know.
Okay.
Calendar. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Final thoughts, anyone?
I wish I had, I mean, I'm not on the transportation committee and I haven't attended and I should. I still have issues with the city bike, all these city bike stations in places that I think do absolutely no good except take up parking space. I don't see people using the bikes. I don't know when I see bicycles, city bikes are thrown on the side of the sidewalk. It makes me wonder if, you know, how these things can make any money up here. And I don't see anybody using those bikes at all. So
Well, I'm a city bike user and I'm a member. I have an annual membership. I signed up when they came to the community, because they had a discount at the time. So I find it very convenient. For example, if I have to go to Caridad or Kingsbridge, I hop on a bike and I get there in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Rather than 30 minutes, which would have taken me on a bus. If I go to Fordham, I go to a job site that I have on 183rd and Webster, another 10 minutes rather than having to wait for the BX41 or having to do 2 transfers. I find it very convenient. I have gone, there's a little bit of lack of availability sometimes. And for instance, yesterday I went to Kingsbridge, I dropped off a bike, and then I thought I was going to find it again, but all the bikes on that station have been used. Other people have been using it then.
I've never seen anybody. That's what I've never seen anybody on a bike. I'm sorry. I've never seen.
Sorry. And specifically in my area, it does get used a lot. I think that there's definitely great potential. And I agree, Eric. I think there could be more spaces. I do hate that it takes away parking spaces, but I would argue, and I guess because I go to school with a bunch of urban planners, that I think that the data shows overall how it helps reduce traffic because of the extra options on getting from point A to point B. But that's not my argument to make, but just saying what's out there.
Just keep in mind that Community Board 7 has multifamily buildings, which means families, that means potentially people with cars. And, you can't put your kids on the bike, right? You shouldn't, at least if you have more than one of different ages. So let's keep that in mind as well. While this is good for single adults that may be using it to commute, let's not forget our families, which is a lot in Community Board 7. Remember that we are the voice of the few representing the many. I understand that kids use bike, but I'm not putting my toddler on the bike. So, and we also have to make sure that, we're encouraging people to do safe practices when they get on these bikes, because that's also like an issue that we see. But I do want to express that we are representing the voices of the many, not ourselves. So we also want, we have to keep in mind the demographics of the community board, and that folks are not going to stop driving tomorrow. So while we want to curb emissions, and I totally fully support that, that's, obviously encouraging electric vehicles and so forth, but we should definitely not forget that, people who pay, who have cars pay into our economic system through their registrations and all these things. So they are paying fees as well. So they have rights. So I just want to express that too.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't have New York license plates, so we are losing out on a lot of those taxes that you speak of.
Yeah, yes.
It's a big convoluted situation, but that's not to say that they're not being used or that they're not beneficial, especially since we keep getting a lot of bike lanes.
Yeah, no, we're not arguing that they're not being used. I think our transportation alternatives is something that the city of New York should have. But what I'm saying is it shouldn't take parking. It shouldn't be at the cost of parking.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with many of them. It's just sometimes they're located and they do take up parking in places where, like I said, I just see the bikes never, ever leaving there. They're just in some areas, and I'm not really sure. Like I said, I have not seen anyone use a bike, but then, maybe I'm not getting around enough. I don't know. But
these are things that Betty and, just traffic and transportation, because we can sit here and tell all our stories, but our grievances for traffic and transportation, and we can take it up with DOT and everybody else there.
All right, no problem.
We can stay here glued to the face of what we like, what we don't like, and this and that. And it's going to be 10 o'clock and it's going to be 9 o'clock at night. So.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so having said that, I want to thank everyone for joining the executive meeting tonight. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
No.
So we have the
motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Second,
Got it. Got it.
thank you, Chad.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Right.